That's what Diddy's lawyers, I think, said. It was like that. These are just trumped up charges. Not trumped up. I don't think they said that, but like bullshit charges.
Dude, when Homeland Security invades your house,
You got problems.
with dudes with fucking guns and...
The moment the judge's gavel struck wood, a wave of disbelief washed across the packed courtroom. Months of depositions, witness statements, and breathless headlines ended in a single stunning verdict. All charges against Sean Diddy Combs were dismissed on a technicality. Cameras flashed, reporters shouted, and Diddy's legal team exhaled in triumph. But that sense of victory lasted barely an hour, because word of the dismissal rocketed straight to Joe Rogan, and Joe was having none of it.
Oh, it's just amazing how many people on the Diddy party list that are supporting Kamala. Too.
Yeah, seriously, it's like insane.
Publicly, openly, all in.
Yes, it's like J-Lo was like his ex-girlfriend, and it's like now deciding she's like warning people against Trump. I'm like, well, wait a second. So how many people did she warn against Diddy?
Right.
Oh, 0. Okay.
Right.
Well, maybe we shouldn't trust her opinion.
Joe's reaction hit the internet like a thunderclap. Within minutes of the news breaking, he opened his podcast with a voice sharper than a blade. "Are you kidding me?" he demanded, eyes widening under the studio lights. "We watched the evidence unfold for months, and now it's tossed out because someone filed a form the wrong way? That's not justice." He leaned forward, elbows on the desk, the signature microphone inches from his face. Millions tuned in, eager to share his outrage.
I mean, everybody hung with Diddy. That's the other tricky thing. Like, Diddy hung out with everybody. And I've spoken to a bunch of people who are like, yo, great dude, like, always there for you, never asked for a single thing.
Till 1 a.m.
And then the freak off.
Everybody says, get out of the house.
Yeah.
It's like the gremlins start eating after midnight.
Joe reminded his audience of the timeline. Investigators gathered hundreds of pages of testimony, digital records connecting dates, guest lists, and security logs. Independent analysts authenticated a series of recordings, proof, according to many experts, of a pattern of behind-the-scenes control, yet the judge ruled that a critical filing missed a deadline, voiding the state's entire case. "It's like training for a marathon," Joe ranted. "Crossing the finish line first and being told the race doesn't count because someone forgot to print the certificates."
And how many of them went to the Diddy parties? Have you been paying attention to the trial?
Oh, yeah.
Trials. Wild.
On social media, the hashtags dropped "but not forgotten" and "justice for all" surged. Celebrities weighed in. 50 Cent posted a cryptic eye roll emoji. A longtime civil rights attorney tweeted, "Procedural errors cannot erase truth." Under each post, thousands echoed Joe's frustration. If evidence was solid yesterday, how is someone innocent today? Joe shifted gears, breaking down the loophole that derailed the prosecution. A single clerical misstep allowed defense attorneys to argue due process violation, forcing item dismissal before a jury could even deliberate. "The law is supposed to protect the people," Joe fumed, "not shield the powerful from accountability when paper gets shuffled." He emphasized that the dismissal wasn't because the evidence changed. It was the rule book working in favor of those who can afford the best interpreters of its gray areas. Meanwhile, Diddy emerged from the courthouse in designer shades, offering a brief statement. Justice prevailed and the truth is finally out. The video clip played on a loop across news channels. Commentators dissected his tone. Was it relief, bravado, or both? Joe replayed the footage for listeners, pausing to point out a smirk. "Look at that grin," he said. "That's the smile of someone who just dodged consequences, not someone proven innocent by facts." Viewers poured into the live chat feed. Many wondered whether federal agencies would step in. Joe highlighted ongoing civil suits, cases unaffected by the criminal dismissal. Plaintiffs still claimed emotional harm, reputational damage, and financial loss from Diddy's alleged conduct. A technicality can't erase civil responsibility, Joe noted. You can bust out of one courtroom only to face a line of people waiting in the next. At music streaming headquarters, executives faced a dilemma. restore Diddy's playlist, or keep them on pause. Several brands remained silent, opting not to renew contracts despite the dismissal. Joe called this the real-world test. If sponsors stay away, it signals that public opinion outweighs legal minutia. He then interviewed a veteran entertainment journalist who had covered Diddy's rise since the 90s. She spoke about the mogul's influence, his control over publicity, and the aura that once made him seem untouchable. That aura is cracked now, she said. Even without criminal charges, the questions linger and no PR spin can glue it back together. Joe nodded, adding, dropping charges can't drop public memory. Next, Joe pulled up charts of social media engagement. Mentions of Diddy plunged in positivity but skyrocketed in skepticism. His analytics team displayed comment clusters. Words like manipulation, intimidation, and cover-up dominated. Joe explained, online sentiment drives brand decisions. When fans speak loudly, corporations listen, no matter what a court document says. Back at Diddy's camp, insiders told reporters they'd celebrate privately, but Joe wasn't convinced the party would last. He predicted more witnesses might feel emboldened to share stories. People who stayed quiet hoping the system would do the heavy lifting now realize they must speak up, he said. He urged potential whistleblowers to document everything, seek legal counsel, and come forward through safe channels. Joe pivoted to the wider music industry, criticizing gatekeepers who remained silent throughout the investigation. Where were the label heads, he asked. Where were the big-name collaborators who cashed in on Diddy's legacy? They all enjoyed the spotlight when things were smooth. Now they should answer tough questions too. He argued that silence equals complicity, and fans should demand transparency from every corner of entertainment. To hammer home his point, he read excerpts from the judge's ruling, the footnotes that spelled out the procedural mishap. Each line was dry, technical, but Joe translated into everyday language. In plain English, paperwork beat proof. The simplicity of the error, an unfiled notice by a specific date, left listeners shaking their heads. Joe's team cued somber music. He paused, letting the weight of bureaucratic failure sink in. In the next segment, Joe interviewed a criminal procedure expert who explained the difficulty of refiling charges once dismissed on such grounds. It's not impossible, the professor said, but it's a steep climb. You'd need fresh evidence or a new angle the defense can't block. Joe zeroed in on, so there's still hope? The professor answered, hope? Yes. Guarantee? No. Joe took calls from fans. One asked whether Diddy could sue for defamation now that charges were dropped. Joe reminded everyone that truth is still a defense. If the recordings are real, he said, facts remain facts, even if the courtroom didn't weigh them. He encouraged listeners not to confuse legal outcomes with moral realities. As Joe wrapped up, he delivered a fiery monologue. This isn't the final chapter, he declared. History books won't remember a missed filing date. They'll remember whether people demanded integrity. Let today light a fire under anyone who believes power should bow to truth. Keep the pressure on. Keep asking questions. Keep the cameras rolling. He urged subscribers to push for legislative reform, suggesting new rules that prevent minor clerical errors from dismantling major cases. If a typo can free the mighty, what hope do regular folks have? He asked. He directed viewers to petitions for procedural deadline reform and proposed a grassroots campaign. #FixTheFiles. Joe's final message was directed straight at Diddy. You walked out today, but the spotlight hasn't moved. Fans, sponsors, and future jurors are watching. Charges can be dismissed, sure, but trust once lost is harder to win back than any courtroom battle. With that, Joe cued the outro music. Screens faded to black, leaving audiences buzzing with outrage, determination, and a shared promise. Paperwork might stall justice for a day, but collective memory never expires, and neither does the pursuit of accountability.